Dearborn is a city in the state of Michigan. It is located in Wayne County and is part of the Detroit metropolitan area. Dearborn is the eighth largest city in the state of Michigan. As of the 2010 census, it had a population of 98,153. First settled in the late 18th century by French farmers in a series of ribbon farms along the Rouge River and the Sauk Trail, the community grew with the establishment of the Detroit Arsenal on the Chicago Road linking Detroit and Chicago. It later grew into a manufacturing hub for the automotive industry. The city was the home of Henry Ford and is the world headquarters of the Ford Motor Company. It is a campus of the University of Michigan as well as Henry Ford Community College. Dearborn has the Henry Ford, the United States' largest indoor-outdoor museum complex and Metro Detroit's leading tourist attraction. Dearborn residents are primarily of European or Middle Eastern heritage. German, Polish, Irish and Italian are the primary European ethnicities. Middle Eastern ancestries make up the largest ethnic grouping with Lebanese, Yemeni, Iraqi, Syrian and Palestinian groups present. History: the area had been inhabited for thousands of years by varying indigenous peoples. Historical tribes belonged mostly to the Algonquian language family, although the Huron were Iroquoian-speaking. The Dearborn area was settled by Europeans in 1786, after the American Revolutionary War. Population growth led to Dearborn Township being formed in 1833 and the village of Dearbornville within it being established in 1836, both named after Patriot Henry Dearborn, a general in the American Revolution and Secretary of War under President Thomas Jefferson. The town of Dearborn was incorporated in 1893, changing to a city in 1927. Its current borders trace back to a 1928 consolidation vote that established its present-day borders by merging Dearborn and neighboring Fordson, which feared being absorbed into Detroit. The area between the two towns was, and still remains in part, undeveloped. Once farmland, this was bought by Henry Ford for his estate, Fair Lane, and the Ford Motor Company world headquarters. Later developments in this corridor were the Ford Airport, other Ford administrative and development facilities, the Henry Ford Centennial Library, the super-regional shopping mall Fairland Town Center, and the Dearborn Civic Center. It is planted with sunflowers and often with Henry Ford's favorite soybeans. The crops are never harvested. The Arab American National Museum opened in Dearborn in 2005, the first museum in the world devoted to Arab American history and culture. Most of the Arab Americans in Dearborn and the Detroit area are ethnic Lebanese, who immigrated in the early 20th century to work in the auto industry, like many immigrants to the area. They have been joined by more recent Arab immigrants from other nations. Geography. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a total area of 24.5 square miles, of which 24.4 square miles is land and 0.1 square miles is water. The Rouge River runs through the city with an artificial waterfall Lowhead Dam on the Henry Ford estate to power his powerhouse. The upper, middle, and lower branches of the river come together in Dearborn. The river is widened and channeled near the Rouge plant to allow lake freighter access. Fordson Island is an 8.4-acre island about 3 miles inland from the Detroit River on the River Rouge. Fordson Island is the only major island and a tributary to the Detroit River. The island was created in 1922 when engineers dug a secondary trench to reroute the River Rouge to increase navigability for shipping purposes. The island is privately owned, and public access to the island is prohibited. The island is part of the city of Dearborn, which itself has no frontage along the Detroit River. Dearborn is among a small number of municipalities that own property in other cities. It owns the 626-acre Camp Dearborn in Milford, Michigan, which is located 35 miles from Dearborn. Dearborn is among an even smaller number that hold property in another state. The city owns the Dearborn Towers apartment complex in Clearwater, Florida. These holdings are considered part of the city of Dearborn, and revenues generated by camp admissions and rent collected are used to bolster the city's budget. Demographics: as of the 2010 census, the population of Dearborn was 98,153. The racial and ethnic composition was 89.1% whites, 4.0% black or African American, 0.2% Native American, 1.7% Asian, 0.2% non-Hispanics of some other race, 4.0% reporting two or more races and 3.4% Hispanic or Latino. 41.7% were of Arab ancestry. Dearborn has a large community of descendants of ethnic European immigrants from the 19th and 20th centuries, whose ancestors generally first settled in Detroit, Irish, German, and Polish. It is a center of Maltese-American settlement, from the Mediterranean island of Malta, primarily due to the auto industry and the exodus of numbers of some original Maltese who settled in Corktown. The city has a small African American population, many of whose ancestors came to the area in the Great Migration of the early 20th century. In Census 2000, 61.9% spoke only English, while 29.3% spoke Arabic, 1.9% Spanish, and 1.5% Polish. There were 36,770 households, out of which 31.3% had children under the age of 18 living with them, 51.0% were married couples living together, 9.4% had a female householder with no husband present, and 35.1% were non-families. 30.9% of all households were made up of individuals and 14.7% had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.65 and the average family size was 3.42. In the city the population was spread out with 27.8% under the age of 18, 8.3% from 18 to 24, 29.2% from 25 to 44, 19.1% from 45 to 64 and 15.6% who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 34 years. For every 100 females there were 99.0 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 96.5 males. The median income for a household in the city was $44,560, and the median income for a family was $53,060. Males had a median income of $45,114 versus $33,872 for females. The per capita income for the city was $21,488. About 12.2% of families and 16.1% of the population were below the poverty line, including 24.4% of those under age 18 and 7.6% of those age 65 and over. As of the 2012 estimate, Dearborn's population was thought to have fallen to 96,474, a decrease of 1.7% since 2010. Over the same period, though, SEMCOG, the local statistics agency of Metro Detroit Council of Governments, has estimated the city to have grown to 99,001, or an increase of 1.2% since 2000. The Census Bureau estimates the 2005 proportion of African Americans to be 4.1% of the total population of the city. Arab Americans. The city's population includes 40,000 Arab Americans. Ethnic Arabs own many shops and businesses, offering services in both English and Arabic. In the 2010 census, Arab Americans comprised 40% of Dearborn's population. Many have been in the city for several generations. The city has the largest proportion of Arab Americans in the United States. As of 2006, Dearborn also has the largest Lebanese American population in the United States. The first Arab immigrants came in the early to mid-20th century to work in the automotive industry and were chiefly Lebanese Christians. Other immigrants from the Mideast in the early 20th century included a large Armenian American community, who are Christian. Assyrian Syriacs have also immigrated to the area. Since then, Arab immigrants from Yemen, Iraq and the Palestinian territories, most of whom are Muslim, have joined them. Lebanese Americans are still the most numerous group. The Arab Muslim community has built the Islamic Center of America, the largest mosque in North America, and the Dearborn Mosque. More Iraqi refugees have come, fleeing the continued war in their country since 2003. Warren Avenue has the commercial center of the Arab American community. The Arab American National Museum is located in Dearborn. The museum was opened in January 2005 to mark the Arab American community's history and contributions to the United States. Economy. Ford Motor Company has its world headquarters in Dearborn. In addition, its Dearborn campus contains many research, testing, finance and some production facilities. Ford Land controls the numerous properties owned by Ford, including sales and leasing to unrelated businesses such as the Fairland Town Center shopping mall. DFCU Financial, the largest credit union in Michigan, was created for Ford and related companies' employees. One of the largest employers in Dearborn is Oakwood Healthcare System. Other major employers include auto suppliers like Visteon, education facilities like Henry Ford Community College and museums like the Henry Ford. Other businesses which are headquartered in Dearborn include Carhartt, Eppinger, AAA Michigan, and the Society of Manufacturing Engineers. Largest employers. According to the city's 2011 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, the largest employers in the city are education, colleges and universities. University of Michigan, Dearborn and Henry Ford Community College are located in Dearborn on Evergreen Road and are adjacent to each other. Spring Arbor University and Central Michigan University both offer classes in Dearborn. Career training schools include Kaplan Career Institute, ITT Tech, and Sanford Brown College. Primary and secondary schools. Dearborn residents, along with a small portion of Dearborn Heights residents, attend Dearborn Public Schools, which operates 34 schools including 3 major high schools. Divine Child High School and Elementary School are in Dearborn as well. The high school is the largest private co-ed high school in the area. Dearborn Schools operated the Clara B. Ford High School inside Vista Maria, a non-profit residential treatment agency for girls in Dearborn Heights. Clara B. Ford High School became a charter school in the 2007-08 school year. The Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Detroit previously operated the St. Alphonsus Elementary School in Dearborn. In 2005 the Archdiocese announced that the school would close. Public libraries. Dearborn Public Library includes the Henry Ford Centennial Library, the Main Library, and the Bryant and Esper branches. Around April 1963 the Ford Motor Company granted the city of Dearborn $3 million so a library as a memorial to Henry Ford could be built. Ford Motor Company deeded 15.3 acres of vacant land to the city on July 30, 1963 for the public library. That day was the 100th anniversary of the birth of Henry Ford. The Ford Foundation later granted the library an additional $500,000 so supplies and equipment could be obtained. On November 25, 1969 the library was dedicated. Library employees occupied the building since its opening. Originally only the library had offices in the building. In 1979 the library staff gave up the western side's meeting rooms and the City of Dearborn Health Department occupied those rooms. The Bryant branch, which opened in November 1924, was Dearborn's first public library. It served as the main library until the Ford Library opened. In 1970 Bryant became a branch library. The library was renamed after Mrs. Catherine Wright Bryant, a woman who developed a plan for the library and campaigned for it, in 1977. The Esper branch, the smallest branch, is located in the Arab Quarter. The library has about 35,000 books, entertainment and educational video cassettes, music CDs, children's music cassettes, audiobooks, and magazines. Newspapers are available there. Many Arabic-language books, newspapers, and video cassettes are available due to the Arab population. It was dedicated on October 12, 1953. Originally named the Warren Branch, the library had replaced the Northeast Branch, which opened in a storefront in 1944. In October 1961 it received its current name after City Council member Anthony M. Esper. Infrastructure, sports facilities. Sports facilities include the Dearborn Ice Skating Center. Transportation. Amtrak, the national passenger rail system, provides service to Dearborn, operating its Wolverine 3 times daily in each direction between Chicago, Illinois and Pontiac, Michigan via Detroit. Baggage cannot be checked at this location. However, up to 2 suitcases in addition to any personal items such as briefcases, purses, laptop bags, and infant equipment are allowed on board as carry-ons. There are 2 rail stops in Dearborn, the ordinary Amtrak station and a rarely used station at Greenfield Village. Amtrak operates on Norfolk Southern's Michigan line. This track runs from Dearborn to Kalamazoo, Michigan. Most of the freight traffic on these rails is related to the automotive industry. Norfolk Southern's Dearborn division offices are also located in Dearborn. Dearborn is served by buses of both the Detroit Department of Transportation and the Suburban Mobility Authority for Regional Transportation Systems. From 1924 to 1947, Dearborn was the site of Ford Airport, with the world's first concrete runway and the first scheduled U.S. passenger service. Media: the metropolitan area newspapers are the Detroit News and the Detroit Free Press. The Arab American News is published in Dearborn. Notable people: David Butker, chef and former actor, married to Neil Patrick Harris. John Dingell, Dean of the U.S. House of Representatives, longest-serving congressman. Agnes Dobrinski, Michigan educator and legislator. Rima Fakin, Miss Michigan USA 2010. Miss USA 2010, Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Motor Company. Dan Easeling, winner of Big Brother 10 and runner-up on Big Brother 14. George Z. Hart, Michigan State Senator. Orville L. Hubbard, mayor of Dearborn from 1942 to 1978. John C. Kornblum, diplomat, former ambassador to Germany. Derek Lowe, Major League Baseball pitcher, with the Texas Rangers. World Series champion with the Boston Red Sox. Nancy Milford, published author and biographer. Alan Mullally, CEO of Ford Motor Company. Johnny Pekar, actor, Flight 29 Down, Make It or Break It, Now You See It. George Peppard, actor, Breakfast at Tiffany's, The A-Team, Bonask. Brian Rafalski, former NHL defenseman. Doug Ross, college ice hockey coach. Suni Sad, soccer player. Scott Sanderson, All-Star Major League Baseball pitcher who pitched in 19 Major League seasons for 7 different teams. Suzanne Sainer, host of independent film channel program Onion News Network and former Fox News anchor. Wendy and Carl, free speech controversy. 4 members of the Christian group Act 17 Apologetics were arrested and prosecuted for breach of the peace in 2010 because they were walking around the annual Arab American Festival talking to people at the festival about Christianity. All the charges, except one of failure to obey a police order, were thrown out by a jury. During the festival, 4 other people from Apologetics were blocked from handing out Arabic English copies of the Gospel of John on a public street. Police ordered them to stop filming the incident, to provide identification, and to move at least 5 blocks from the border of the fair. A Tea Party senatorial candidate in Nevada, Sharon Angle, suggested that Dearborn was contributing to a non-widespread militant terrorist situation, and said that the city was enforcing Islamic law. Angle was sharply criticized by the mayor Jack O'Reilly, who called her comments shameful. He said they were based on distorted Tea Party accounts of the arrest of members of an anti-Islam group at an Arab festival. Angle was defeated in the election by Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. Preacher Terry Jones planned a protest in 2011 outside the Islamic Center of America. Local authorities required him either to post a $45,000 peace bond to cover Dearborn's cost if Jones incited violence or to go to trial. Jones contested that requirement, and the jury voted on April 22 to require the posting of a $1 peace bond, but Jones and his co-pastor Wayne Sapp continued to refuse to pay. They were held briefly in jail, while claiming violation of First Amendment rights. That night Jones was released by the court. The ACLU had filed an amicus brief in support of Jones's protest plans. A week later, on April 29, Jones led a rally at the Dearborn City Hall, designated as a free speech zone. Riot police were called out to control counter-protesters. On November 11, 2011, Wayne County Circuit Court Judge Robert Ziokowski vacated the breach of PSC ruling against Terry Jones and Wayne Sapp on the grounds that they were denied due process. Terry Jones led a rally at City Hall and then planned to speak at the annual festival on June 18, 2011, but on his way there he was blocked by protesters, 6 of whom were arrested. Police said they did not have enough officers present to maintain safety. Christian missionaries accompanied Jones with their own signs of protest. They were alleged by festival goers and protesters to have yelled insults at Arabs, Muslims, Islam, and Catholics. On April 7, 2012, Terry Jones led a protest in front of the Islamic Center of America, Dearborn, speaking about Islam and free speech. The mosque was placed on lockdown. 30 police cars were there to block traffic and prevent a counter-protest. Historical timeline: European exploration and colonization. 1603 French lay claim to unidentified territory in this region, naming it New France. July 24, 1701 Antoine de la Mothe Cadillac and his soldiers first land at what is now Detroit. November 29, 1760 the British take control of the area from France. 1780 Pierre Dumas clears farm near what is today's Morningside Street in Dearborn's South End. Early U.S. history: 1783 by terms of the Treaty of Paris ending the American Revolutionary War, Great Britain cedes territory south of the Great Lakes to the United States, although the British retain practical control of the Detroit area and several other settlements until 1797. 1786 agreed year of first permanent settler in present-day Dearborn. 1787 territory of the U.S. north and west of the Ohio River is officially proclaimed the Northwest Territory. December 26, 1791 Detroit environs become part of Kent County, Ontario. 1795 James Sisson becomes first settler in what is now West Dearborn. 1796 Wayne County is formed by proclamation of the acting governor of the Northwest Territory. Its original area is 2 million square miles, stretching from Cleveland, Ohio, to Chicago, Illinois, and northwest to Canada. May 7, 1800 Indiana Territory, created out of part of Northwest Territory, although the eastern half of Michigan including the Dearborn area, was not attached to Indiana Territory until Ohio was admitted as a state in 1803. January 11, 1805 Michigan Territory officially created out of a part of the Indiana Territory. June 11, 1805 fire destroys most of Detroit. November 15, 1815 current boundaries of Wayne County drawn, county split into 18 townships. January 5, 1818 Springwells Township established by Governor Lewis Cass. October 23, 1824 Buckland Township created by Governor Lewis Cass. The area ran from Greenfield to approximately Haggerty and from Van Born to 8 Mile. 1826 Conrad 10 builds 10 Tavern at Michigan Avenue and Rouge River. 1827 Wayne County's boundaries changed to its current 615 square miles. April 12, 1827 Springwells and Buckland Townships formally organized and laid out by gubernatorial act. October 29, 1829 Buckland Township split along what is today Inkster Road into Nankin and Pkin Townships. March 21, 1833 Pkin Township renamed Redford Township. March 31, 1833 Greenfield Township created from north and west sections of Springwells Township, including what is now today East Dearborn. April 1, 1833 Dearborn Township created from southern half of Redford Township south of Bonaparte Avenue. 1833 Detroit Arsenal built. October 23, 1834 Dearborn Township renamed Buckland Township. March 26, 1836 Buckland Township renamed Dearborn Township. January 26, 1837 Michigan admitted to the Union as the 26th state. Stevens T. Mason as first governor. 1837 Michigan Central Railroad extended through Springwells Township. Hamlet of Springwells rises along railroad. April 5, 1838 Village of Dearbornville incorporates. Village later unincorporated on May 11, 1846. 1849 Detroit annexes Springwells Township east of Brooklands Street. April 2, 1850 Greenfield Township annexes another section of Springwells Township. February 12, 1857 Detroit annexes Springwells Township east of Grand Boulevard. March 25, 1873 Springwells Township annexes back section of Greenfield Township south of Timon. May 28, 1875 Postmaster General changes name of Dearbornville Post Office to Dearborn Post Office, hence changing the city's name. 1875 Detroit Arsenal closed. 1875 Detroit annexes another section of Springwells Township. 1876 William A. Nolan writes the bark-covered house in honor of country's 100th birthday. June 20, 1884 Detroit annexes Springwells Township east of Livernois. 1889 first telephone installed in Dearborn at St. Joseph's Retreat. Incorporation as village, March 24, 1893 Village of Dearborn incorporates. 1906 Detroit annexes another section of Springwells Township. 1916 Detroit annexes more of Springwells Township, forming Dearborn's eastern boundary. 1917 Rouge Eagle plant opens. November 1, 1919 the first house numbering ordinance in Dearborn starts. Residents required to place standard plate number on right side of the main house entrance 5 feet up. December 9, 1919 Springwells Township incorporates as Village of Springwells. October 16, 1922 Springwells Township annexes small section of Dearborn Township east of present-day Greenfield Road. December 27, 1923 Voters approve incorporation of Springwells as a city. It officially became a city April 7, 1924. September 9, 1924 Village of Warrendale incorporates. November 1924 Ford Airport opens. April 6, 1925 Warrendale voters and residents of remaining Greenfield Township approve annexation by Detroit. May 26, 1925 Village of Dearborn annexes large portion of Dearborn Township. December 23, 1925 Springwells changes name to City of Fordson. February 15, 1926 First U.S. air mail delivery made, going from Ford Airport in Dearborn to Cleveland. September 14, 1926 Election approves incorporation of Village of Inkster. Unincorporated part of Dearborn Township split into 2 unconnected sections. October 11, 1926 Only dirigible to Evermure and Dearborn docks at Ford Airport. Reincorporation as city, February 14, 1927 Village of Dearborn residents approve vote to become a city. June 12, 1928 Voters in Dearborn, Fordson and part of Dearborn Township vote to consolidate into one city. January 9, 1929 Clyde Ford elected as first mayor of Dearborn. 1929 Henry Ford Museum and Greenfield Village opens. July 1, 1931 Dearborn opens as one of first airport hotels in world. March 7, 1932 Ford's Hunger March crosses Dearborn city limits. 4 marchers are shot to death by police and Ford servicemen. 1936 John Carey becomes mayor of Dearborn. June 19, 1936 Montgomery Ward opens in Dearborn. May 26, 1937 Harry Bennett's Ford servicemen beat United Auto Workers official Richard Frankenstein in the Battle of the Overpass. June 21, 1941 Ford Motor Company signs its first union contract. 1939 The historic Springwells Park neighborhood is established by Edsel B. Ford to provide company executives and auto workers with upscale housing accommodations. January 6, 1942 Orville L. Hubbard takes office as mayor of Dearborn for first time. April 7, 1947 Henry Ford dies. October 20, 1947 Dearborn City Council approves purchase of land near Milford, Michigan for what would become Camp Dearborn. First section of camp opens following year. October 21, 1947 Ford Airport officially closes. 1950 First Pleasant Hours Senior Citizen Group formed. 1950 Dearborn Historical Museum formally established. January 1952 Oakwood Hospital formally opened and dedicated. April 22, 1958 Election held to annex part of South Dearborn Township to Dearborn. Proposal fails. 1959 University of Michigan opens. April 6, 1959 Election held to annex part of North Dearborn Township to Dearborn. Proposal fails. 1962 St. Joseph's Retreat closed and razed. 1962 New Henry Ford Community College campus dedicated. November 9, 1962 Ford Rotunda burns down. 1967 Dearborn Towers in Clearwater, Florida opens. March 2, 1976 Phelan Town Center opens. 1978 John B. O'Reilly, Esser becomes mayor of Dearborn. November 6, 1981 Cable television reaches first home in Dearborn, on Abbott Street. December 16, 1982 Orville Hubbard dies. 1986 Michael Guido becomes mayor of Dearborn. 1993 Michael Guido is the first mayor to run unopposed. 2006 Michael Guido dies at the age of 52 during his sixth term, the only mayor to die in office. 2006 John B. O'Reilly, Jr. is to become temporary mayor. O'Reilly's father was the mayor who had preceded Mayor Guido. 2007 John B. O'Reilly, Jr. is elected mayor of Dearborn winning 93.97% of the vote. 2008 John B. O'Reilly, Sr. dies at the age of 89. He was mayor of Dearborn and also served as chief of police for 11 years. See also: History of the Middle Eastern people in Metro Detroit, references. Further reading: Cantor, George. Detroit, An Insider's Guide to Michigan. University of Michigan Press. ISBN A0-472-03092-2. Fisher, Dale. Building Michigan, A Tribute to Michigan's Construction Industry. Grass Lake, Michigan, Eyrie of the Eagle Publishing. ISBN A1-891143-24-7. Fisher, Dale. Southeast Michigan, Horizons of Growth. Grass Lake, Michigan, Eyrie of the Eagle Publishing. ISBN A1-89143-25-5. Hill, Eric J. and John Gallagher. AIA Detroit, The American Institute of Architects Guide to Detroit Architecture. Wayne State University Press. ISBN A0-8143-3120-3. Brignall, Karen. Building an Arab American Community in Dearborn. University of Michigan. Volume 5, Issue 1, Fall 1997. External links: City of Dearborn, Dearborn Chamber of Commerce, Dearborn, Michigan @ DMOZ.